Welcome to part 2 of the first stereo cassette deck series. In part 1, I introduced you to the 1967 Ampex recorder and told you about some new problems I'm having with uneven playback speed, poor rewind, and fast forward. If you missed that episode, you may want to go back and check it out. I've also posted a demonstration video of the player, so if you just want to hear how the deck sounds after the repairs I'm about to show you, jump over to that video now. You may be surprised by just how well the first stereo cassette deck could record and play back, all with Type 1 tapes and no noise reduction. Let's now fix the new problems I'm having with the deck, but first let me show you what I initially did to restore it over 2 years ago. When I bought this Micro 85 on eBay, it was in rough shape. The lamp in the cassette well was about the only thing that turned on. The hubs didn't spin and there was no output. After some diagnostics, I found this diode package in the power supply was shorted. The package contains 2 diodes, and here you can see I've replaced it with 2 1N4007s. The preamp board is shown here on top and the amp board below. All of the electrolytics on these boards tested poorly and were replaced. Both boards had a bunch of problems with broken components and deteriorating traces. Here you can see just one example of the many loose soldering joints. It took hours and hours of work, but with some patience I had the boards working again. These are the old components that were replaced. As expected, the belts in the machine had disintegrated years ago, leaving behind the usual mess. After a lot of cleaning and polishing, I had the flywheel and other affected parts looking new again, and I installed new belts. You can see the top panel of the deck was melting away. Strange, because peeking from underneath this horrible vinyl veneer, I could see there was real wood. I peeled the vinyl away and found the wood veneer was complete with markings for the controls. Why Ampex covered the wood with vinyl remains a mystery to me. It makes about as much sense as covering hardwood floors with vinyl tiles. The wood panel cleaned and shined up beautifully using my trusty Howard's Feed and Wax. If you want to learn more about Feed and Wax, check out my video where I compare it to 2 other wood polishes. And no, I don't get paid to promote it, I just love this stuff. To tackle the mechanical problems I'm having, I searched years for another Micro 85 deck that I was hoping I could use for parts. Finally, this one came up on eBay and I grabbed it. Just $20 plus shipping. When the parts deck arrived, I discovered it was born on the 37th week of 1967. Slightly older than my existing deck, which an Austrian stork dropped off in the second week of 1968. Fortunately, the only difference I could spot was that the older unit uses a 630 milliamp fuse to protect the motor, and the newer one uses these 2 thermal fuses. It's interesting to note that the motor in the Micro 85 serves double duty as the transformer for the power supply. I quickly got to work harvesting the parts deck. What was I digging for?
Black gold, Texas tea.
No, not oil, rubber. The rubber wheels in my deck were worn, creating uneven playback called wow and poor rewind and fast forward. I was hoping the wheels from the parts deck would be in better shape. If so, I'd transplant them to the deck I had restored. If that didn't work, my only option would be to have the wheels rebuilt. Let's get those parts out of there. As hoped, the wheels from the parts deck are better than what I had. Let's put the restored Micro 85 back on the bench and swap the parts. All the drive wheels have been replaced. Let's give the player a test. Play is working. Rewind looks good. And fast forward looks good as well. Let's try it with a cassette. Rewind is good. And yeah, fast forward is greatly improved. Yikes. Unfortunately, the playback is still wobbly. The problem is the pinch roller. Along with the capstan, the pinch roller pulls the tape through the machine and maintains the correct fixed speed. The pinch rollers I have, even the one from the parts deck, have hardened and are no longer perfectly round. So as they pull the tape, they slip and the speed constantly varies. Note that the hubs on a cassette deck don't control speed. They serve only to add tension, fast forward, rewind, and take up the tape as it plays. To replace the pinch roller, I went to fixtureaudio.com. They have quite a few to choose from, and I found and ordered the perfect size for the Micro 85. As I waited for the new roller to arrive, just for fun, I experimented with one of the old ones. I've never had much luck rejuvenating rollers, but I figured what the heck, and applied some rubber renew to soften the material. This stuff is toxic and will melt plastic, so caution is advised. I also devised this makeshift lathe with a vise, clamp, blade, and Dremel to attempt to round the roller. How did all that work out? Not so well. Fortunately though, the new rollers are here, so let's install one. To get the old roller out of the assembly, I need to knock out the axle. Now replace the roller with the new one and reinstall the axle, and install the assembly back into the machine. Looks good. Let's do a listening test. Wow, that sounds a lot better. Here's what's going on down below. Everything's working now. Let's put the deck back together. For the final test, I've got an AirPlay device connected to the deck, and I'm recording this streaming music. Want to hear how the recording comes out? Check out the demonstration video on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description. See you there. To stay updated, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell to receive notifications when I release new videos. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'll see you soon.